Yeah,
Just takes a few
the ex
seconds.
yeah, the access requests definitely fill up the to-dos very quickly. So
Well, I kind of see it in two ways, right? So
yeah,
they do, but I also love when I have got a big to-do list and I go in there and I can just tick a bunch off because they're just access requests that um either I've approved or you've approved or we've already created an issue, etc.
yeah,
So I'm just going to give a real tiny intro for anyone that's sort of watching along or watches this after the fact. So we want to talk briefly initially about the community for access requests. So the process roughly goes that somebody requests access. We have a look at that profile, their activity, and we either approve it straight away, or if they haven't really got much activity, if it's a new profile, whatever it might be, then we maybe create an issue to kind of ask some more questions before we grant that access request. I'm going to open two things and then share my screen. So I started work on a merge request to automatically create those issues. So I'm going to share my whole screen and hope for the best. No, let's just share Chrome. So yeah, I started on a merge request, and this is working quite well for me. So what I'm actually doing at the moment with this is kind of running it manually. So every now and then, if I get a bit behind, then I just run this script on my local machine, and it basically pulls all of the access request issues, all of the access requests, and if there's any access requests that don't already have issues, then it creates the issue. So I'm running this locally from time to time, and it works great. Really need to just push it a little bit further, but the challenge is, if we're going to automate this, then we kind of need to change the messaging, right? So at the moment, the messaging is very much, we've had a look and, you don't have much activity. We can't really see, we don't know enough about you. So we want some more information before we process and approve your request. If we're going to completely automate this and it's going to run every 5 minutes, for example, and it's always going to create an issue regardless of your activity, then we're going to need to change the word in there a little bit. Yeah. The only other thing I think we maybe discussed, mindful about what I say here and now, but is that there might be maybe one sort of caveat that if somebody has, I forget what it is, like a contributor level 2 badge, which means they've had a few contributions merged, then we might decide to automatically approve that access request. But, very conscious of anyone trying to sort of game the system. So ideally, we'll have it create an issue, and then we can kind of go from there. So that's kind of the first half. The problem is when we create these issues, we're not great at following up on them. So, this one was created on the 24th of March, and the due date is 1 week after the issue is created. And there has actually been a response on that one. So I'm going to ignore that and skip to the next one. So the next one that was on the 3rd of April. So again, the 10th of April should have been when we sort of followed up on that. Also, I'm not sure how you feel, but like if we were to, so at the moment, the process I follow, and I think you and everyone else is the same, is create the issue. We invite them to kind of, I don't know, give us a bit more info. And then after the week, we would sort of close it if we'd had no response, but give them a friendly kind of ping and reminder and sort of say, I'm closing this because we haven't heard back, but by all means, reopen it or drop us a line and we'll sort of reevaluate that. I think if we automate that, then we might be a little bit, I don't know what to call it, like slower to close it. Like we might actually say, well, let's open the access request, hopefully automatically. After a week, we then maybe send a gentle reminder, just saying, oh, we haven't heard back, we'll wait another week. Or yeah, but again, that's not even very friendly. We might be able to come up with something better than that. And then, a week or two later, then we maybe close it with another friendly nudge just to say, look, we're going to close it for now, no pressure. But if you do still want us to look at it, then let us know. That's obviously still only accounting for one that doesn't have any response. I think that's important that we make sure that the automation to kind of follow up and to close these issues, only tries to act on ones that haven't had a response. Anything that's had a response, we almost certainly need a manual interaction to interpret that response. Does that sound fair?
Yes. And one thing I'm also a bit struggling with is if they only give like a thumbs up on the issue. So if there's no real comment or so, but so they did act something on the issue by clicking the thumbs up reaction, but not anything more. Uh, that's
Yeah,
also
no, that's a
something.
really good point. And this is where I think a bit like the session we had on Friday working on the kind of core team stuff, I think there might be two or three, maybe more things that we kind of need to do at the same time and all kind of tie together. So do you know about the outreach that we did a week, or it'd be 2 weeks ago now, to people that have access to the community forks that haven't yet created a merge request?
I think I have seen something, but I'm not sure.
So we created a bunch of issues just to kind of reach out to anyone that had requested access to the community forks, more specifically have been granted access to the community forks, but not had the opportunity to create a merge request yet. And we made sure that they had access for like at least a month, if not maybe 6 weeks or so. So we didn't want to be too sort of, if someone had been given access yesterday, we didn't want to straight away be sort of saying that, oh, why haven't you created a merge request yet? So part of that outreach, again, I'm going to find the issue before I reshare my screen, but I'm fairly confident.
No, I found it.
Too controversial. Perfect. I'm trying to find just the message. Quickly share. The first draft version. Oh, it's community reports. Got it. So let's share that. So the thing that we quite like is this this checklist essentially. So rather than us just saying, oh, like, we haven't heard from you, or I don't know, whatever we might have said in the past when we're reaching out and asked, how are you doing? Like, how can we help you? But we've actually given them sort of how do you call it, like actionable task list or checklist. And what's even better is that one of these tasks we know that they've already done. So they can almost tick a box without actually doing anything, which the theory is, and again, forgive me because like I don't know what you want to call it, like I'm not a marketer, but I work in marketing, so I'm sort of trying to toe this line between being an engineer and a marketing person. But I more and more appreciate and understand the sort of value add of, someone, what's the word, of kind of feeling like they're making progress, if that makes sense. So, if they can tick off some of these boxes, then it feels good, right? So what I think we've been talking about doing for a little while is kind of making the access requests like, and again, I don't know whether you feel like these should be the same thing or whether it should be two separate. Like, should we have an access request, Then when they get access, we then create an onboarding issue, or is the access request issue part of the onboarding issue, which is my initial gut reaction, so that essentially, okay, they request access and we create the issue, which is a culmination or a combination of the current access request issue plus something like this to say, you know, you can join the Discord and you've requested access already, so we can tick that off for them maybe. And then, we can link them to a tutorial and say, follow that along and try out GDK in a box and jump on a pairing set. So yeah, it's basically the onboarding thing that we've been wanting to do. So to give them away rather than it's just at the moment, again, I don't know how you feel about it, but we reach out to them, we ask them for some more information. Sometimes they just say, oh, I want to work on a front end issue. How about this one? Or they give us a tiny bit of background and we say, yeah, that's great. We approve them and then we kind of leave them. Whereas, go.
Yeah, if I'm thinking about the thing if we should use different issue or the access request issue. I feel like putting it in the access request issue gives them less noise or something like this and keeps our project a bit cleaner.
Yeah.
But if we just put it as a comment or so in there, then they can't tick the boxes because they can't edit comments from other users.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it would need to be part of the template, right? So the things that I see, I really like what you said about less noise. The other thing that I like is we could almost sort of say, well, once they've checked off some of these boxes, it might be that we could almost. I know we don't want to make the access request process gameable, if that's the right term. But obviously, if somebody's requested access, they've joined the Discord, and they've joined a community pairing session, for example, then we've spoken to them, we've met them, we understand, and we can sort of approve that access request. So I think that there's quite a kind of strong correlation between what we're asking them to do in the access request, i.e., let me find one of those, i.e., like fill out your profile, put a bit of information on there, let us know what you want to work on. Those kind of things. I think we can kind of combine this checklist here with some of these items here.
We could also change this list to, we could make these also checkboxes instead of just a list.
Absolutely. So yeah, what should we? I'm conscious that I've been rambling and not scribbling, and I'm not used to that. I'm used to our GitLab meeting with documents. So have we got an issue already in here, or where? Or was there an issue linked from here? No, of course I didn't link an issue from here.
I'm not sure if it even has an issue or if we just had some Slack conversations about this.
Okay, there's no harm in creating one, and it might even be that it's in the contributor success issue tracker rather than here. So automate and improve access request and onboarding. I think there is, again, I'm a little bit conscious. I'm just going to pause for a second because I know we do have a few confidential issues in the contributor success issue track. I'm going to search for onboarding because I think we've got an issue about onboarding. Okay. think I've got it. I think I've got it. Yeah, and it's all public, so I can share it. You know, I like to do as much stuff in public as possible, but we have like onboarding for a customer as an issue, for example. So I
Oh yeah,
obviously don't want to share that.
yeah.
So
And I
here's
just
some of the
know,
converse.
I think we do have an issue about the access request workflow. It's just not in the meta project for the, but it's in the contributor success uh, project.
Okie dokie. Do you want? Have you got the number? And I'll. Oh yeah, thank you very much. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so I can probably get rid of that thing, can't I? For access request workflow. Yeah, cool, awesome. So we've not got tons of conversation on there, has it? So what we're saying, automation and tooling, improve the documentation. Broadcast company owners may approve, reject. No clear process between owners. Switch off handling. Owners to handle. Yeah, okay. So we've also got this thing about potentially
Yeah.
widening up the pool as well, right?
Yeah.
Mission tooling, generate weekly reports, in requests and assign. Yeah, we can discuss some of these in their merits, to be honest. But let's try and add documentation. Let's add. Let's include onboarding as part of this issue over here. What do we think about always? Yeah, if we automate creation of the access request issues, we will no longer be saying, you don't have enough activity profile, etc.
Oh, we have a guest.
We do indeed. I'm really sorry. Can you help me attempt to pronounce your name because Hey.
Hi, how's it going?
Yeah, good. I was just saying, can you? I'm still not going to be able to do it, but could you help me try and pronounce your name so I can at least try?
Yeah, totally. My name's Alana Pilates.
Alana. Okay, I think I can do that. It's probably poor pronunciation, but I tried. So we were ducking and diving into things, but you're having some issues with GDK, all right?
I am, yes.
Awesome. Now, I am streaming this publicly at the moment. So, how confident do you feel? Would you be okay sharing your screen, or are you concerned that there might be, Slack messages popping up and weird confidential issues on the screen and whatnot?
No, I can definitely rearrange my screen so that specific
Awesome.
what we're working on. Give me one moment.
Awesome. Yeah, no rush, no rush.
Okay, will forewarn everyone that I'm not the most expert when it comes to GDK, so I might be stepping
No,
around
well, that's
some
good
of the
because it
commands here.
stands well. It stands me in slightly better shape to maybe being able to help. But yeah, I'm definitely not making any promises, but I'd love to try.
Okay, great. I'm ready. I'm going to share my entire screen so we have
Yeah, go for it.
a view of everything here. Yeah, so I haven't touched my terminal since copying that what was it? What was that? The curl sort
Okay,
of.
so I know why that thing didn't work, and maybe that's a good reason for us to try and improve the notes and instructions a little bit. So that's because to run that command, you need to be in the GitLab folder. But what I'm curious to understand is what's your current state of. So you're on the main branch, right? And is your GDK currently working okay on the main branch?
I really can't even, ever since I checked out this community branch, I haven't been able to run any GDK commands since, nor have I
Okay.
been able to kind of CD my way up and down like the folders.
Okay. So let's say it looks like that's kind of what you're doing at the moment, actually. Let's run that git status, I think you were going to do, just so we can try and understand. Um, okay, so I wonder.
So
I
is
I'm just
this
wondering if I don't know if this is even possible, but I'm wondering if you somehow fetched GitLab into your GDK folder. So instead of having GDK in
Doesn't
your GDK folder, you've got GitLab in your GDK folder. Hey, Daniel, we're just troubleshooting a bit of GDK. I hope you don't mind holding for a little bit. Um,
yeah.
so Nicholas, have you got an amazing command that can somehow, undo this?
Uh, it doesn't look like GitLab is in the GDK folder if we are looking at the git status. So the GitLab stuff should be in the GitLab subdirectory. And
Okay. But we kind of want to reset this, right? Somehow, because we've got all these untracked files. So there's a huge deviation from the master branch, presuming that that's what we've got, or sorry, the main branch, presuming that's what we've got checked out. So
I'm not sure if that's actually a problem or if it's just because if we look at what we are having, it's mostly the local things. So we have the different project folders, we have the GDK YAML and things that are generated by the GDK. So
but they don't normally show us because they're normally in the git ignore, I presume, or something like that. Hence why they don't normally come up in here. Can you do git restore space dot? That's it. Run that one first. And then I think git clean. And I think it's dot space dot dash F. And then, oh, sorry, a space between the dot and the dash F. And then we'll do another git status. Okay. Yeah, I do think looking at this branch,
oh,
yeah. So
that
do you think
doesn't
it
look
is
right.
what I suggested, isn't it? We've somehow checked out, we've basically overwritten GDK with GitLab. So, um, so we're currently on
What?
that branch. Okay. So can we try git checkout main?
just like that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I feel like we might be sort of getting somewhere. So now I would probably, do you think doing a GDK update is a good idea, Nicholas, to sort of get everything or not?
Could be an idea.
Let's make sure everything's kind of, happy.
Yeah, we could also check a git status first again, see if there are still weird things.
Oh, so there's actually
You
a
have
GitLab development kit folder inside the Git. So should we? I don't know what the term is. RMRF that? Do you think or?
I'm not sure because I actually do see this folder listed in the Gitignore, but only subfolders of that sub files inside this folder. So it's not true. So it could be correct.
Let's try a GDK update.
Yeah. What could go wrong?
Yeah, it's either going to fail catastrophically, and either way, I think it'll give us some indication of, oh, I couldn't pull the latest version of whatever for this reason or that reason.
Yeah.
This so far, I shouldn't be counting my chickens, but I've had it fail a lot worse, a lot earlier than this.
Counting chickens is also something I've never heard before.
I think if I'm probably going to do a terrible job of this, but I think the phrase is something about counting the chickens before they hatch, essentially. So,
yeah, okay.
You count the eggs and assume that that's how many chickens are going to be, but actually,
oh yeah,
that's not the case. I don't know. So yeah, the command that you've got open on screen, can you just hop back to that one. So get at gitlab.com. So this is a team member merge request, not a community merge request. Is that right? Or is it community one?
If you look in the background. Yeah. You can also see it in the background in the labels.
Oh, okay. And it's on a private fork. Okay. Oh, damn, the update's failed. Should we have a quick look at bootstrap browse.log? So it managed to apply a bunch of migrations, I think. So that sounds positive. But then waiting for prefect to boot, and I don't even know what prefect is.
I think it has something to do with clustering of Gitly or Postgres.
Right.
But also not sure.
You could try a GDK doctor that it's suggesting to run. You're definitely in a slightly better state than you were originally, but
Would it help if I changed my screen so that it's in dark mode?
It looks fine for me.
Buggy, y'all.
Doesn't make much difference, I would say.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Okay.
Right, what's it?
If you prefer light mode, you should use light mode. Yeah, these problems are not something we are even getting to because we are failing way earlier.
Yeah, and the migrations suggested they were successful, so
that are different migrations. If you look at it at the timestamps of the migration, you can see that the migrations that run are some 2022 migrations.
when have you used GDK like recently at all?
Yeah, so I used it this morning, and what happened was I was able to check out this branch, but I couldn't see the updates that he had made in this merge request. So then I asked another teammate to see if she was able to see it on her GDK, and she said yes. So then I tried to sort of delete the branch, restart, and then check it out again and try and do a refresh because realizing it's on my end. And then this is when I started encountering the error.
Okay.
So,
So I wonder whether we should follow the reset data instruction. Do you think you have any data, if that's the right term? Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're streaming anyway. Do you think you have any data, like, I don't know what you're working on from day to day, but do you have any kind of configuration in your, like, any projects that you've created or scenarios that you've kind of configured in your GDK that you'd be concerned about losing?
the only thing would be the ultimate license, but I have that code in my email, so I think I
Awesome.
can easily just
Awesome.
reload that back to my instance.
Let's follow the advice that is given us then. Do you want to
should we directly go with reset data, or
what's that, sorry?
Should we start with reset data directly? Because we might. What does GDK status show? Does it show us anything helpful?
Yeah, give it a try. GDK
So,
status.
GDK status.
So every Postgres is running, but
it's about the only thing that is running, which
maybe we try to start Prefect and start GDK start the GDK update again, or maybe look if we get some logs by starting Prefect manually.
Well, how about if we just do a GDK start to try and start
start everything.
Yeah. And then we'll maybe just wait like 15 seconds, 20 seconds, and then we'll do a GDK status again. And I suspect that some, if not all of these processes would have fallen over again.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
So, that looks better than I expected. So yeah, maybe do just try running a GDK update again. It's wishful thinking, maybe. I'm gonna give another sort of 5 minutes or so, and then I'm gonna jump on some of the stuff with Daniel, if that's all right. I hope that we've got you closer, moved you forward a little bit, but you might have to rely on a bit more support from GDK Slack later on. See what happens there.
And if nothing helps, you can still try the reset data command, if that helps.
Yeah.
And if absolutely nothing works, just delete it completely and reinstall it. So
Is there a command for that I could write down?
So if I was completely blown away and starting from scratch, I would probably move up another directory, move up another level, and then I would probably rm-rf GitLab development kit. So basically completely blow the folder away. And then I would run the one-line installation script, which I can send you a link to.
Oh.
Someone doesn't beat me to that. One. Pop that in the
If
chat.
all else fails, but then there was
But
one.
this is looking much more promising, actually. It's interesting that it said that it's decided to drop all the databases and recreate them. There was me, obviously, again, doing the unspeakable and counting chickens, but
that's Redis now, that's failing.
Okay, so something slightly different. Oh, and now it's seeding, which is, but what's it?
Why is it seeding?
It dropped the database and it's created from scratch for some reason. I have no idea why, but
yeah, good question.
I think we should probably cancel it at this point and try and see if maybe Redis has fallen over.
Yeah, it failed now anyway, so.
Should we GDK status again and see if Redis has fallen over?
Yeah, Redis is down, so probably now a GDK tail Redis, so we can.
That sounds like a good idea, yeah.
Like that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just going to see, you can Control C to kill that.
Yeah.
Just going to see if I've got a redis.conf.
Yeah, it tries to read the Redis config and it doesn't exist.
Yeah, should see.
So I've got one.
So maybe a GDK reconfigure, because that should rebuild all the configurations.
Good thinking.
There's a lot more happening than I would like to see.
Yeah.
But
GDK, I reckon GDK start again to try and start Redis again. And then maybe we'll tau Redis again, GDK tau Redis.
That looks more promising.
Server is ready. Yes, so you can kill that. Command Control C.
And then we can try the update again.
Yeah. I love that this is the standard, just try again. Each time we get a step closer though, right? Each time, yeah.
I still have no idea why it dropped the databases and is now recreating everything from scratch, but
not a clue.
Yeah, I guess I can kind of update everyone on Slack what happens, or do you all want to see it through this update?
Well, Daniel just drops us a message say like no rush, so I appreciate that. Thank you, Daniel. Well, okay. I'm happy to keep bashing at it for a bit longer if you are.
Okay.
And I like I say, I feel like each time we're making a little bit more progress as well. So
yeah.
Nothing will make me happier than seeing a GitLab log on screen in a minute. So and the amount of time people have helped me out on here. So, it'd be nice to repay the favor.
Yeah.
And then it'll be your turn next.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Well, I've got all of the commands now. Just run through them.
What I'm slightly worried about here is that it dropped and recreated the database, but I'm I'm not convinced. We'll see in a minute, but I think it hasn't tried to reseed it yet, so we might have to tell it to reseed the database. Because I think at the moment you might have an empty database, so you've got no root user in there, so you can't log in or but we'll check that in a minute.
So it's very likely you need to add the license again anyways.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
But like you say, that's not a huge drama. You've still got the files. So.
And if not, you should probably have it very easy to get a new one. So
I don't recall processing one for you for a while. When's your one due to renew?
I've never requested one. So you never processed any of mine.
Is that because of magic or because you don't tend to work in EE?
I usually use my workaround and hard code the feature available.
Do the unspeakable, right?
I don't need EE too many times, and when I do, it's a lot faster than waiting for a license request to get processed.
Oh, we're pretty good now, you know. Sometimes less than an hour.
Yeah, but I usually only use Gitpod, so I would have to edit every time anyway.
Do you know if there's an issue about? Do you know if there's an issue about sort of? Oh no, hang on a minute. So the database can't persist, or how does that work?
You mean on Gitpod or what?
Yeah. Like when you spin up, create a new workspace, do some work, apply the license. When
the database inside the workspace does persist, but I tend to create a new workspace for each merge request. So they are so each workspace is only having changes for one specific MR, so they don't mix up.
And does that workspace kind of knock around for like 30 days or so before it kind of cleans itself up, or?
If I don't tell it to stay around, it cleans up after 14 days.
Cool.
But I can mark them as pinned, and then they stay until I unpin them.
Nice. Well, I suppose it's saying it's already installed. I was thinking it's doing things in a very confusing order to only just be installing Ruby now after having done everything else. But
now it's now installing the tools for Gitly, and we just have a matching Ruby version already installed. Now it's installing the tools for GitLab Shell, so it kind of makes sense, but also not too much.
Yeah, if all the services were already running, it seems weird, but I guess it's just got to check all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of funny watching the title bar of the shell session, all the commands that are being run in the background.
It's going a bit crazy. It's kind of like I would say it's probably even worse than watching the title when running Homebrew.
Right. Do you want to do another GDK status just to have a look? I'm hoping. everything looks like it's running, right? So yeah, I would try hitting it, but I think we're not going to be able to log in. I think we're going to need to. What's the word I'm looking for? I think we're going to need to run the reset data or whatever it is to.
And with reset data, we would throw everything away again. So
Yeah, but it didn't. I don't think it managed to seed anything, did it? It basically started trying to seed and then exploded. The credentials, if you type GDK help, I think it gives you the credentials.
yeah.
Okay.
And it gives you a pre-Tanuki at the same time. So
Yeah, if you scroll up enough, you can see that's not okay.
I like it. I still
The
like it, even though
terminal
it's
is
not
making
perfect.
it weird.
So right at the bottom, the username and password is root is the password. If you just keep scrolling down all the way to the bottom, there you go. Development admin account.
Oh, okay. So it did reset everything.
Well, it's telling you that that's the default login, but I don't think it. Oh,
yeah.
okay. Now I'm surprised. But let's see, there might be like no projects and no issues and stuff. So it might be that it managed to create.
Some things did get sealed and some did not.
Yeah, it might be that there's just like a user, but yeah, no groups, no projects, no issues, no whatnot.
Yeah,
so
no projects. So that means it failed really early.
Yeah, cool. So do you think reset data? But I think we're good though, because I think that like GDK is now properly installed and running and working, and all we need to do is just reseed that data.
And we should be able to do that without the reset data and just call the db seed through rake task.
Well, that I wasn't sure if that was very good. If you already had some data in though, won't it try and like recreate the root user, like the admin user, and that will just explode?
It depends on how the seeders are implemented.
I don't think they're like idempotent or whatever the term is. I don't think they're very good.
There are users in here, so that's
I
good.
think that's about all it managed to do though. It was so quick. You could see those dots like showing how much progress it was making, and I just don't think it made much. So I personally would probably run that reset data. It will take like sort of 10 minutes or so.
Okay. It's GDK reset data.
So it's a hyphen between reset and data.
Yes.
Reset data, like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, at least my GDK is working, so thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, yeah, I've got fingers crossed. If you don't mind, like, give that a run. Hit it now. We'll start watching it just to see if it seems to do better than it did last time. Yeah, I think we're fine. That it's gonna get rid of not a lot of data that we don't really have in there. We'll just watch to sort of see if it looks a bit more sort of promising than it was when we did it a minute ago, and then we'll talk MVP and stuff.
Yeah, this is one of the places where it failed earlier, I think.
It's weird. I don't know why. I don't know why it's like waiting for something to boot when. Probably because I don't know what prefect is, but I thought all it would do was run some SQL statements to delete and create some objects, but okay, so we're seeding users. Good. We're seeding projects, which is weird because I would have thought it'd seed groups before projects, but maybe it seeds the groups as part of the project seed. Again, a bit slow, but it's doing its thing. This was definitely exploding a lot quicker than this. So I think you're onto a winner there.
Yeah, I think so too.
Awesome. I'll leave you with it, and just drop us an update in Slack and let us know how you get on.
Well, thank you so much, Lee.
Thanks for hopping on. I'm glad we you can tell us if we were successful shortly. Have a great day. Catch you later. Bye.
Bye.
Hey Daniel, if you're not busy munching, do you want to jump on? If not, not yet. Hey.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I haven't been eating today, so I'm was munching in the background. But thanks.
No, I'm glad that our I don't know what you want to call it, hijacking of our one-to-one allowed you some time to do something that you should have done already. So, this session's streaming. So if you need me to stop, if there's anything that we don't want to discuss publicly, then please shout. Obviously, we'd normally be doing our sort of one-on-one, whatever you want to call it at this point. But if we're sort of talking about the MVP process, again, Nicholas, feel free to jump off if you're not interested. But we've been talking about community forks, and you're probably interested in that as well, Daniel, because we've been talking about the onboarding. So we can potentially talk back about that later on if we want, but see how we get on. So
I got something that I think is probably more appropriate for everybody would be the GitLab bot thanks message. And I threw together an MR. I'll drop it here in the chat just to get that started. MVP wise, we can touch base on that later. I was going to give you a nudge on that issue template review just to have you, I know you've been busy, but if you get a chance to do that.
Please do nudge me on that, because I know I'm definitely, in fact, you'll see how behind I am in a minute. Let me share this.
But the thanks message, I think, would be more appropriate for this call. And you and I and Edward were talking about updates to the thanks message itself. That comes automatically from GitLab bot into a community MR. And I guess one big thing I had for this was, so one of the, and for Nicholas too, some of the background here, one of the struggles we see is that a community contributor, especially first timer, will try to use @GitLab bot and the command doesn't go through. And whenever we're posting about it too, we're doing it in code ticks because we don't want to trigger it ourselves. And then a lot of times I think people might be copy and pasting it, and so it's not carrying over, or they're just typing out the same way in code ticks and it's not carrying over. And one of Edward's suggestions was if we could not have it in code ticks, we could have it the way it should appear, but I don't know if that's a possibility of stopping it from triggering in that message.
I think so. I think we could probably sort of make sure we only trigger on. I don't know about only triggering on community doing it, because I think we like to be able to either test it ourselves and also sort of just almost demonstrate to a community member in certain instances, look, this is how I issued this command and this is what happened. But I'm sure excluding like the bot itself, exactly, if nothing else. And there might even be something already set up. But sorry, this is what I was saying about my to-do list. I get grumpy when it goes above 50. So for it to be at 87 is pretty bad. So should we start by looking at the changes here, or have you got sort of specific questions, or how did you want to sort of attack this?
Yeah, I think I dropped a comment in here on actually there's another one too that I didn't get time to go through yet, which was when you immediately dropped the suggestion for the bullets. I think you had the AI contribution checkbox bullet sort of at the bottom, right? So that we would have the group label bullet preceding the AI checkbox bullet. And then I was playing around with that locally, and then I broke the test because for the group label, you're checking first if it's a first time contributor. And if it's a first time contributor, I think we're skipping the group label instruction. So in order to get that order right, where the AI checkbox would come after group label, we'd have to I'd probably just introduce something to check for the first time contributor first, because just switching that around will break. I guess it's probably adding an empty line right now.
I definitely like the idea of saying, like, at most we want to give them 3 messages or something like that. So, if they're a first time contributor, let's start with like how do I request help or something like that, or
Right.
then if they've done a few, then we can say, well, let's give them a nudge how they can add a label or something like that. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and so there's another comment in here somewhere, I think, if I saved it through, that points to, that points to a line in the thank contribution Ruby file where that's happening. That link there, just a little higher.
So okay, this one.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. Okay. So sorry, I kind of we touched on a few things there. So should we start by just having a look over and sort of discussing and seeing if we like the bullets and the ordering and look at the diff? Is that a good place to?
Yeah, that's a good place to start. And I just kind of probably mostly just copy what you had in the issue discussion there. Trying to remember offhand if I'd had anything else I changed, but
Going to do it at the same time because I was almost going to make the suggestion or have a look at the discussion on the questions to see what the bot currently. So it will be in triage and processes. So community MR help etc. So we basically say. So it's valid command, which I think comes from community processor. So it says it's either by the resource author, the assignee, or a team member. So I don't think we need to. Is the bot considered a team member? I wouldn't have thought so.
Is that taken from the team member YAML file, or is that taking that from somewhere else? Where's that coming from?
The event by a team member. I'm gonna end up going around in a bit of a circle. Okay. I'm sure it will be, but include core team members files. Team member. What's it passing?
Yeah, that's coming from the team YAML.
Awesome. So we're fairly confident that Gitbot hasn't yet taken it upon itself to create an entry in. So in which case we can go straight ahead. Like, let's check if you asked that question first. Yeah, you did. That's exactly what you're asking. Yeah. So can we remove these since people copy and paste? But if we do that, thanks will attempt to trigger the command. So I think I don't know actually. Because you know, if we did like this, does it work, or does it need to be at the beginning?
Good question. I've never tried that. I've always put it on a new line.
Okay. I'm just wondering if like that's another reason why this maybe wouldn't trigger anyway, but it kind of doesn't matter. So I'm gonna say like we checked. So like the processes and a valid command, which is inherited from community processor and is defined as that includes, yeah, this is don't think that there's much danger. Yeah, resource author means the issue or the merge request, not the note. Okay. And this is going to be on a merge request.
Right.
I'm fairly sure. Yeah, I'm fairly confident it's not going to.
Is there, I mean, will we be able to test it before getting these changes live? Just because I'm thinking if it could
We
really mess up a lot of
can.
MRs.
No,
You know, all of a
no.
sudden you're making your MR and it's going ready automatically and pinging reviewer, and you just were making a draft or something just to not mess it all up for people.
Yeah, I mean, you can. It's a bit of a pain. I have spun it up locally, but there's quite a lot of config you need to do. I mean, maybe it would just be worth our while just adding that in as a real explicit. It's not GitLab bot. So I don't think this would be in the.
You can't. Can you log in as GitLab bot and
Yes,
just type the command out?
it's just a user. So if you have the credentials, you could log in, but you probably get chased by the security team if you do.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I don't think it being the author assignee, and it's not.
Right.
And I just tested it. So unless the webhook is down again, you don't commands don't trigger if they are in the middle of a sentence.
Awesome. Do you want to, depending on where you tried it and how you tried it, do you want to just triple check that it is listening? So issue exactly the same command you just tried, but without a prefix. So
Yeah, good idea.
I'm going to say lastly,
yeah, it reacted now.
awesome.
So
Thank you. We only react when what is the first. Is it at the beginning of a line or the first? I'm going to say the first.
you can put it in different lines. I used to, before I was able to set labels myself, I put the GitLab bot ready command just at the bottom of my command, of my comment asking for reviews.
Awesome, thank you.
So it doesn't have to be the first line.
Awesome. So we're right. So we've almost got like 2 or 3 things in our favor, right? It should be excluded by this plus because the command isn't at the beginning of a line. It's also excluded for that reason. And if we really wanted to, as I said, we could also add an explicit that the user isn't GitLab bot. Is at the beginning. If we really want to be, I don't know, over this. So add an explicit. I'm in favor of removing the. Is that good?
Yeah, but yeah, I think that's a step in the right direction. It would maybe help get rid of some of that confusion. I think the other, and then like more specific on the confusion side for using the command is probably the label command of that GitLab bot label, you know, because of the added syntax problems of using the tilde and the and quotes for some labels, not quotes for some other labels. So I don't really know the best way to solve that confusion other than if the command doesn't go through when you're trying to label, just having some extra instruction reactive from the bot to try to help guide you along.
So we have recently added that actually.
Okay.
So this is a merge request, so it should.
It might not trigger because it's not a community contribution.
No, there you go. No
Oh,
label
yeah,
specified.
okay. So it's not a
So,
community contribution label. It's not a
Um,
requirement. Okay.
so what we could definitely probably be a bit better in terms of
Right. Yeah.
like elaborating on like, and maybe that's the key, you know, try and reduce the complexity of this description,
Right. Right.
and allow them to make a mistake and then increase the complexity of this. I mean, I'm open, like, but just putting options out there, you know. So MR label, yeah. So this was changed. I'll say by. I thought we did this more recently than 3 months ago. Okay. No, it must have been pretty much coincided with the time in there. So yeah, we say if no labels were specified, or if you gave a list of labels, but the labels that are actually going to be applied don't match that. So you know, one or more were sort of not on the allowed labels list, essentially. Then it says that some of them weren't valid, but we could elaborate on this. So now, did you specifically ask about? I think Reggie should have a proceed, but I haven't really asked about improving
No,
that.
I don't think I have that comment in there yet. So you could just add anywhere. I'll find it.
I might even add it specifically on here. Yes. We remove the backticks. Also, I don't know, simplifying and allowing to make a mistake. Now the bot responds with a lot more helpful. I'm just going to put and if I just put that.
That's fine. Yeah. And is that reaction, that's for labels? Does it do the same if you like mistype ready or help? You know, if you have something like that, is there still...
No,
No.
so it's reliant on. So if we look in the here we go. So define command. So we sort of explicitly define the command it's listening to, so it doesn't do any kind of fuzzy. About the only thing that again we could consider doing is having almost like a I don't know what we call it, like command dual processor that sort of explicitly says if the command isn't one of, and list all of the available commands. And again, I'll add that as a discussion in a second as well. So what we're saying to remove this. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so that's that one. So then we're saying in terms of invalid commands, and we say not parameters slash the processes currently this specific. Although, could you argue, I don't know, it's not necessarily a command, but I don't know. Yeah, because anytime someone mentions GitLab bot, this thing could respond. But if GitLab bot
Right.
has to be at the beginning, but I can see a really amusing scenario here. I mean, I know it really doesn't kind of matter, but GitLab bot like posts 3 messages on an MR, and a community member responds and says, "GitLab bot, shut up! I don't care. Like, stop spamming me."
Yeah.
And then we respond to say,
Right.
"GitLab bot, shut up! Isn't a valid command. Like, here's a list of valid commands."
Yeah, we could put that one on the back burner. You know, we're trying to take iterations here and improving the process.
Absolutely.
But,
Just because we've had this conversation, I want to record it here, and then, you know, by all means, you could maybe even click this button to create a follow-up issue, which, yeah, fine, it will go in the backlog with 1,000 others and may never get picked up. But I like the fact that we've had the conversation to just jot that down. So I think we need to create a catch. Right.
yeah, just because, to your point, we're trying to not add to the noise for the community contributor where they're getting too many pings from the bot and getting annoyed. So if doing something like that could trigger some additional annoyance.
Yeah, but then I suspect that you'd get more genuine instances of somebody's tried to fire a command but messed it up, and
Right.
the response there would be helpful. I think you'd get more instances of that than somebody abusing the bot or doing something. Do you know what I mean? I think that the helpfulness would outweigh it, but I agree that at this moment in time, it's probably not a priority. Awesome. So we didn't actually get as far as reviewing the MR code yet. Did we want to look at these discussions? So we've responded to that one. Back to so that's fine. This one and the labels bullet preceding the AI checkbox. Okay, so if we just need to understand if we do that, how to fix the test. And so is that how it's current?
So currently, this is the order right here. Thanks, ready for review, request help, AI checkbox, group label. And the group label, you're running the method group label first, which is linked in that comment.
And that's the thing that's doing the check if it's the first contribution or
not. Right. So reversing AI checkbox and group label first is going to run the command before it's posting the message. And then if it's a first time contribution, it's not actually posting the command, it's posting an empty string. And then it's failing the spec because the spec is expecting a certain outcome here that's not delivered.
Okay. So yeah, let's just have a look at what we've. So is this almost, if not verbatim, but just literally with a bullet now?
So not what it used to be, but from what you had posted in the issue we were discussing. Actually posted first in an MR when we were doing the AI checkbox originally, and then I shared it in the issue with Edward. So it's just kind of some tweaks off that one, but.
Cool. Oh yeah, I see. Yeah. So we're not saying for a first review, we're just saying when you're ready, just removing some fluff. And rather than post, we're saying comment.
Using the language of the GitLab UI there is, it's comment, not post. So I think I replaced an MR with a merge request just to make sure it's clarified. And then I showed, the original one was a little longer than that one. And then I'm thinking your suggestion, you dropped this completely. And I was wondering, should we still, since people do use this, should we still have in the specifics on how to assign a reviewer or not?
So what do you think? So funnily enough, I'm not referring back. I'm gonna I'm in no bias towards what I previously commented. Hopefully, my brain will still kind of head in the same or a similar direction. But my gut feel is to keep it like that. This advice, this help is primarily for newer contributors, right?
Right.
And at that point in time, I think we just want them to be able to, I even think with the help, like I'd almost be tempted to try and combine these two things, because I think help and ready do exactly the same thing. So it kind of makes me sort of wonder whether, why separate them, if you know what I mean? Like, but I guess we do want to make 2 points to sort of say, if it's ready, then send us a command. But if you're stuck, send us a command. That they are kind of 2 separate reasons that you might want to reach out.
And I'd say 2 separate outcomes, because ready will put the workflow ready for review label on, whereas help won't do so.
Good point.
You're going to ping an MR coach either way, but
yes, yeah. So no, that's a valid point. But yeah, with this one, I'm inclined to again either consider, looking at each thing and saying, well, the problem is we know if it's a first merge request. I'd love to see how we do, like, because it'd be great if we could go further and sort of, I'd almost love for every statement to conditionally show or hide it depending on how many merge requests this person's had. Like, because I think after 10 to start to we just shouldn't be including some of the information anymore. Event first contribution. Yeah, I just don't see that we're going to have easy access. We could do it, but again, it's going to be a follow up, right? To sort of go more elaborate and say, well, actually, we've got 20 different statements, 20 different things, and we're going to show these 3 ones to a first contributor. We're going to show these 5 to someone that's between 1 and 5, and we're going to show these 5 to someone that's 5 plus, something to because I just think that trying to come up with a set of bullets that suits everyone, someone that's never contributed, someone that's contributed once or twice, and someone that's been contributing for years, is just an impossible task, right?
Yeah. But I mean, we could also just, well, for that specific line, maybe dropping it from the thanks message altogether. How many, I don't have this data, but how many first-time contributors are using that command? I'm not sure.
I just think, like, so here's an idea for immediately what we could do. We could make, so GitLab bot will always respond to this message. So we're already going to get a ping in response to this. So what if that message included the note that if you want someone specific to pick this up, then you can use this. Command.
And then so just going through an example, I'm making a community merge request. I'm getting the message instruction at GitLab ready. I use the command. It pings Lee as MR coach to come in and review, but I actually wanted to ping Raymond. And so I get the instruction now to use at GitLab ready at Stingrayza. It'll then assign Raymond to the MR. Will it unassign Lee, you, from the MR in that process?
Great question. So command MR label.
No, it won't.
Okay.
It'll
add them as well as?
Yes, it just adds them.
I don't, it's not ideal, but I think it's okay, because again, I think that whoever gets to it first, if it's the initial MR coach, then they can assess and say, oh, I'm going to do what I can do. There's a red pipeline. I can respond to that. I can do this, this, and this. Or, oh no, they've pinged this person and, I'll let them deal with it, and vice versa. If the person they pinged specifically picks it up first, then they would probably remove the coach. So I'm go on.
Yeah, and it depends on how fast you realize that you wanted to assign someone else, because the bot will ignore the ready command for 1 hour after you executed it.
Okay.
So you can assign someone else after an hour has passed.
I'll add that note here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it is rate limited. If you're a team member, you can use it 100 times in an hour on the same MR. If you're a community member, you can use it 1 time in an hour on per MR.
But we could easily just increase that to like 2 or 3, right? Without any too massive implication.
It's just a number inside.
Awesome.
So and it looks like it can be defined per command, so shouldn't be too many problems.
Do we have the context on why that limit was introduced for community MRs? Was there any sort of problem
I
there?
currently don't, but maybe if we if we check the blame.
Talking to my computer. He's reminding me to take some drugs. So the reason would have been it's just abuse, essentially, if that makes sense. So we just cite the standard behavior is obviously often to kind of put rate limits in place for stuff. I think rather than us specifically adding that for community members, I think it was almost the opposite way around, if that makes sense. I think that these bots only used to listen to community members, and then as team members, we were working on these bots, and we struggled for one reason or another, because it's like, oh, we can't test this because we're team members. So we decided to remove the criteria that checks that you're not a team member. And then we did some testing, and we tried to test again, and we're like, damn, we can't test twice because the rate limit. So we then removed the rate limit for team members to do testing, if that makes sense. So I think it's less that we sort of said, oh, let's inflict this rate limit on community members. It's more that we said, let's remove this rate limit for team members to support testing, sort of thing. But right, so that's that one. Now, how are we? Is this remind me, Daniel? Is this the one that we've already updated, or in the process of updating? Are we happy with the page that it currently links to?
So yes, it's in the process of being updated, I think, and now I'm confusing myself because I thought I had removed that, actually, unless it might have appeared in multiple locations. Otherwise, I'm good with removing that, because as Edward had pointed out in the issue, if you're at this point, you've made the merge request, and the bot is telling you to refer to that page, most of that is still finding an issue, setting up GDK, starting a merge request. Other than the bottom part where there's some tips on like small changes and things about triage and review, most of that page wouldn't really be relevant at this point when the bot is pinging you about this page. It would probably make more sense to go to a revamped merge request workflow page, which we don't have ready yet. But at the moment, I'd be fine just removing this link at this point. In fact, I thought I did. So I thought
we'll see if it appears further down again, and you maybe remove that one.
Because we're in the spec right now. Maybe so it should have triggered a failed test if I had removed it. So yeah, I thought I had, but I must have missed it. And I was even originally playing with, like, we have like a first line of a hi, username, wave, and then the second line, thank you for your contribution to GitLab. I was even wondering if we could combine that, just one quick thanks for contributing to GitLab at user, and then get into the bullets again, just to try to shorten the message a little bit.
Yeah. I'll totally be cool. Yeah, I definitely think the shorter and simpler we make them, even like as stupid as it sounds, if we had like, I love the idea of being intelligent about every sort of sentence or bullet or part of it, but even if we just alternated sort of thing between 2 or 3 different messages, I think that would even be better. Because yeah, at least it wouldn't be like, here's a wall of text, oh, I'm just going to skim it or ignore it. It's like, here's one thing, like tip of the day almost, did you know you could do this? Or did you know you could do that? Or
you reach a
just
point
a
where you
reminder
just
of the
ignore the
command.
message.
Right.
What was that?
Right.
Sorry?
Yeah, or you reach a point where you just ignore the message completely.
which again, like, maybe that's another really valid point, that maybe after, I don't know, quite a large number, maybe after 20 or 25 merge requests or something like that, maybe that's the point at which we should just stop adding this message. I suppose
yeah, maybe just the thanks message, but not all the points explaining everything.
But then could we incorporate a thank you into like the danger bot message or something? Do you know what I mean? Because I think that's the challenge, is that you raise the MR, you probably, if you're me, you get a pipeline failure email, then you get a thank you email from the bot with some other stuff, then you get roulette pings you on danger, and like that's like a standard path. You're going to get at least those 3 pings, right?
My one caveat here would be, especially we're outreaching to get contributors to come back. If you had your 20 MRs and GitLab up, thank you message goes away, and then you haven't contributed for 6 months, and you're making a new MR, you might have forgotten some of the commands just offhand. As it's hard to, if we're doing this every day, we're used to all this, skim right through it. But just thinking about your average contributor that is not contributing every day, it's not seeing this message every day, what their reaction would be.
Yeah, okay, it makes sense. Because I can also say I have a really large gap between my actual first MR and when I started to be active.
Yeah.
Right. And that's most contributors, so.
Yeah.
Wish we had time to execute on all these amazing ideas.
But I'm going to hop off, so have a nice
No worries.
evening.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks,
as always. Have a great evening.
Yeah, and you have fun with the rest of the MR. And then bye, and probably until some other day.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, Nicholas. Have a great one.
Yeah. And good night from my side, Sean.
Good night, Nicholas. Thanks.
Right, so we've covered remove that link, maybe remove a sentence from that one. If you need help, so just ping help, which again, you'll get rid of the backticks, or come and say hi on Discord. So that's now the second bullet. So we've thanked them.
But I'll add the caveat that I don't think that one appears in every circumstance. I think.
Or you know what I'm doing? I'm looking at the spec.
Dependent,
Maybe I should be, looking at this. Although, is this harder to interpret?
So in certain projects, we don't trigger every command here, or every message.
But then, would we look at the default, which I assume would include the GitLab project or not? GitLab FOSS runner. I think that includes the main GitLab project. So that's, I know it's bad that I'm sort of siloing on that, but so
that's I'd say start here, and then individual projects we could also.
So this is the high. And I totally agree with what you said there about potentially if we could combine these two, I think that would be good. So ready for review request help. Again, I don't want to make the scope even bigger, but how would you feel about flipping those? So looking back at the sort of spec, like
starting with the help before you're ready, because it makes sense. You're not. We're saying if you're ready for review. Well, I don't know if you're.
I'm just thinking that one of the things we did with the access requests, and I think we're sort of, I can understand two views on this for sure. But one of the things we seem to be suggesting is people that like interact with us generally have a good time, if that makes sense. They have a positive experience, and they're much more likely to succeed. And the Discord seems to be, you know, one of those kind of tools or mechanisms of having that interaction and succeeding. So I just think like, yeah, that is the first. And even what I said before, actually that assigns an MR coach anyway. So apart from the fact that this changes the label, they're very similar anyway. So I almost think the earlier we mention Discord, the better. But again, it's not a massively pressing one, but
yeah, I can play around with that. I think that makes sense to try to introduce the Discord link and advice for support earlier.
Don't know where did that comment just vanish. Oh no, there it is. So yeah, we've had, so we said that's greeting, it's thanked. It tells you how to say ready for review, which we may or may not shorten. Again, totally open there. May flip these ones, how to get help on Discord or by pinging the bot. Then the AI checkbox.
Yeah, and if you want to be honest, go to that message. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say I'm totally. We'll read the AI checkbox message, but I'm totally cool with this coming before, like, because I think adding the group label is really like we're asking quite a lot of them, and the triage process, like generally within 24 hours, or obviously not the weekend, but like one working day. I'd say like 80+% of our community merge requests have the group label added. And I know, yeah, great. If we can take that onus, that burden off of team members, off of coaches, then great. But I think this is slightly more important to us at this precise moment in time.
Yeah, I'm good with that then, keeping it in this order. I think I also was going to ask you about shortening that first line for the AI, whether or not we need the you can make AI generated contributions. That's
because it's a bit late
as
at this stage almost, right?
Right. So you've already presumably made some changes, and I think it's implied that if we're asking if it does or not, I mean, I don't know. It's hard without having the feedback from the community if they need that preliminary yes, you can do this before asking about the disclosure. That's why I originally added it in was I didn't want.
Do you think it sounds like we're almost sort of not trying to trap them, but like if they tick the box, we're going to say rejected.
Yeah, yes. But that's why I had the exclamation point of you can make contributions, AI generated contributions, because we're excited about it, rather than oh no, did you use it? Because you're and having it be like introducing a question of, oh, am I not allowed to do this? At the same time, I know it's a long bullet because we have to, from legal, include that second sentence, which has a lot of information. So I was just trying to figure out how to shorten things, but
yeah. I'm like, my brain was leading me to say something like we have to flag AI generated contributions if this contribution uses AI, but then that's even longer. and the word flag sounds kind of negative already. So yeah, that doesn't help in any way. Is there a way that we can just change the second sentence if this contribution uses AI generated content? Even this, I know that it's because the question was asked, but it's a shame having to add these kind of clarifications to this bullet point. It all kind of adds to it, right?
Well, I'm going to say, I don't think for legal, we have to have that line in the thanks bot message. It's going to be in the MR description. It's already in the MR description, but it's going to be added, the line about GitLab Duo features, and it's in the DCO CLA.
You know what we could remind me at the moment? We haven't made any changes yet to that checkbox, but one thing we could do, you know, we can actually link to.
Did we not?
Like
I thought we did
headers.
make changes to the checkbox. You meant. I meant the wording of the checkbox, but you meant Nick's idea of doing a header for it.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I didn't specifically, but I had forgotten that we had iterated very slightly on that. But
yeah.
Like it's probably again going too far. But I was thinking, you know, almost like we could reduce a lot of this by sort of saying you can make AI generated contributions. Read more here, or like just like. We can make it a lot more brief if we just ping them up to the message at the top. I don't know. Yeah.
What about this? Just off the cuff here. You can make AI generated contributions by checking the box at the top of your merge request description.
I like it, but I dislike it because it's misleading, because it's sort of suggesting that like you can't, obviously you can make AI generate contribute, like there's nothing stopping you from doing that. This is kind of like a weird process. Do you know what I mean? It's almost just a bit weird because it's saying, well, no, I've already made an AI generated contribution. Like yeah. But definitely this, I think if we sort of say like so something about checking the box at the top or reading more about it up the.
Just iterate it here. All right. We welcome AI generated contributions. Just check the box at the top of your merge request description.
Okay, maybe something like that even. It's this is the hardest, you know, they say about like, I don't know, something about the hardest thing to name things, but this is exactly the same, isn't it? Like documentation, and there's no right and wrong answer, right? So okay, so
we can always iterate. You know, we get some feedback. If people are confused, they'll tell us, hopefully, and then we can iterate again.
Absolutely. So I think we've kind of said the same thing here, right? Although it's nice to be kind of upfront, and actually most of this is the link, so this sentence isn't actually as long as it looks. But yeah, definitely with the bot, similar to what we said about the GitLab bot ready.
Right.
You know, if the bot's going to respond with something a bit more helpful, then I think that's one way that we can thin some of these out. And that's it, right? Let's
I
just
mean,
scroll down.
to your point about questioning whether adding something specific, like assigning a specific reviewer, do you think that for most people reading this message, they need the information about the labeling or not? We don't include it for first contributions, but do you think it's important to have it here regardless for the rest of them?
Um,
And I don't know, I don't have the data on how many contributors are
it's
using that.
it's really tricky because the only real reason to ask them to do that is to make our lives easier as team members, right?
Yeah.
So it's finding a way to, I don't know what you want to call it, sort of, yeah, like say, that's not us being lazy, that's like saying you can help us and this is how you can help us. But there's absolutely no sort of, they need to ask for a review when they're ready or ask for help when they're stuck. They really need to, like, they don't, but they really need to tell us if they've made an AI generated contribution. They do not need to add the labels. So I don't know how to tackle that as a sort of I mean, what if we had a collapsed section? We can expand and collapse and said, if you want to, like, there's more ways that you can help us. Read more or something. Read more ways you can help us or something like that.
And I'd say that the benefit for the contributor is if you triage your own merge request or add labels, you're getting the right group to your merge request faster and increasing review time. But I think that's like, if we do a drop down hidden, here's some additional things. That's where I would put something like labels or even the assigning a specific reviewer. Although, and when you get an email notification with the bot message, is it including everything or is it including, like, will the drop down be revealed or is it still hidden?
Great question. I think it would probably include this information. And you only get emails on app mentions, right? Is that right? You don't have notifications on for all comments.
I think so, yeah. Although because I'm the author, I should get it anyway. But
well, let me include a ping on you, so you should get an email when I post this in a second. So so blah. What is it? Don't know what other stuff we could talk about really. At ready username. What other stuff could they do? Don't really know.
Is at ready a user?
That's a good point. Let's just be good. Easy. Yeah, that's that. I'd be impressed. You might find that Gmail handles this expand and collapse, but like most other email clients or providers or what wouldn't. But I suspect you.
Yeah, I'm getting the whole thing. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, your original concerns to shorten the thanks message, I was thinking about it more in terms of what I'm seeing in the MR itself, not the email, but do you think that's a problem to have something like that revealed in the email?
Yeah, I mean, I think we do need to be conscious of the email. I mean, if I'm totally honest, one of the things I've had in the back of my mind the whole time we've been talking here that I haven't voiced till now, but I am going to, and I will again add a comment on there, is it's a long way off, right? But we've been talking about this contributor platform, and I really love the idea of, so, what if there, instead of all these commands and that, what if there was a link in this message that sort of said like, I don't know what it would say, whether it'd say like, when your merge request is ready, click here, or whether it'd say just like, click here to see how you can, I don't know, move your merge request forward. That would take you to our platform that would then have, you know, these things, but instead of you having to write commands and understand them, it would have a sort of UI or some way of you doing it into, so there would not be any question about, oh, what labels can and can't I use, or will this work or won't this work? You know, you say, I want to add labels to this merge request. It gives you a list of the labels you can add. You select the right ones, and then you press a button and it does it, sort of thing.
Yeah, I posted this in the issue, but like the idea of just being able to click and then you're reducing all those problems of typing out a command correctly, and that it would be nice for the UI to allow you to do some of these features. And if that was through the contributor platform, I think that makes a lot of sense. So it would definitely be a way of reducing some of the stumbling blocks that people are running into with these commands. I'd be totally in favor of that. And I'm gonna have to hop off here in a minute too, but
yeah, no worries at all.
I think these are some great next steps for this iteration and some ideas for what we can do down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Was there anything, I'm totally up for hopping off in a second as well, but either MVP related that you wanted to talk about, or yeah, anything final on this or other stuff before we hop off?
I think that's good on this. Let me know on the review for the issue template, but we'll start that up. And the last point on MVP that the thing I haven't changed yet was the name of MVP to contributors of the month, like we've talked about. I've gone back and forth on it. Yeah, I've gone back and forth on it because I hear feedback that people like, the recognition of being awarded a GitLab MVP, and would you reduce some of that value to the award by changing the name? And do we have to change the name if we were clear? You know, the original problem was not everyone in every country knows what MVP means, and trying to clarify that. But I'm wondering if there's another way to approach that.
Almost just stop acronyming it and just say this month's most valuable people or persons or whatever.
Right.
I mean, one of my like a temptation of mine would be to ping the last sort of 6-10 MVPs and say, you know, we're dedicated to DIB or DEI or whatever it is. And you know, one of the ideas that we're considering is this, and like, what's your view on it? And also to just make a public issue. We'll share it on the Discord, on the forum, and have that conversation in the public and kind of let them decide, really.
Yeah, that sounds perfect to me. Yeah.
Awesome. Sorry we're a bit late starting. Thanks for your patience.
No worries.
Thanks for moving this all forward. And yeah, shout if you need me.